Hey guys, welcome to another episode of
Discovering Our Journey.
I'm your host MC.
I'm JC. Boom.
How you guys doing out there?
Oh, it's been a great day. Beautiful, sunny spring.
Yeah.
Spring is in the air. It's been beautiful. Very busy, right? Because kids are out of school, so a lot of attention needs to be given elsewhere. So I'm a little delusional. But I'm all right.
All right.
And you?
Work. Where I was at, luckily, I mean, San Diego's a little, it just depends on where you're at. So,
right, yeah.
So I had cloud. I was working outside,
Encinitas,
so I had a little bit of
beach weather.
Yeah. See, I was over in the La Mesa area, and it was a little overcast, and I was good because no sun outside. I was that was
especially when you're outside.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
overcast helps.
Yeah, it does.
I thought it was gonna rain.
Yeah, well, it sprinkled in the morning.
It did.
It did sprinkle in the morning. Yep. That's San Diego rain for you.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is. So today, I think I want to lay the foundation a little bit.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I was listening to our past recording about us needing God, like in moments of emergencies, and you didn't hear that one. You didn't hear that one. It's very interesting. But with that, and watching what's happening around this world right now with obviously chaos, it's there's always chaos happening.
Of course.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about like how I found like my way. Since we are on discovering our journey. Yeah. I discovered my journey. As I said before, I was the middle child. I was very quiet. I was very obedient. I tried to do what the others didn't do. And amongst my growing up, I felt like it wasn't fair. Did you go through that? Like, it's not fair. At one point, you feel like you did your best and it just wasn't fair. Did you ever go through that?
Well, remember, I was the oldest first child, so...
And the only child,
And the only child for 12, pretty much, almost 12 years of my life, 11 years of my life and a half, I was the only child. So my grandmother just, she adored me, and my grandmother always said that my mom was like my sister because, we would fight and stuff. So it was one of those types of relationships. So it's a little different.
It is different.
And no cousins that were even my age. So it's just, growing up a little lonely.
Yeah.
Lonely, didn't really...
Well, even loneliness can kind of leak into some sort of bitterness, right?
It can.
Of like, hey, I deserve that. Like you're almost like so selfish that you're just like, you hear the word no and you're like, oh.
And see, that's the thing. I feel like with my grandmother, I was allowed to do, except for borrow people's stuff, like my friend's stuff. That's one big rule that she had. Like, I couldn't come home with someone else's soccer ball.
Same.
Because I would be, go take that back.
Yeah, it's not yours.
It's not yours.
Yep.
And it's like, that was a big rule. Like, I cannot bring back something that was not, mine.
Yep.
And then my grandmother would usually get me one of whatever it is that I wanted. She's like, but you don't take other people's or bring it home. It's not your stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a big rule. But other than that, my grandmother, I mean, she took care of me. My mom, we did all kinds of stuff. So it was, I think I got spoiled quite a bit. I think I didn't, I wasn't that.
You were very blessed.
No hand-me-downs, no.
Hey.
Oh, you got hand-me-downs?
It humbled me, okay? It humbled me. But listen, after everything, right, that was my childhood, right? That was like the first, before the teens. Now, once the teens hit, remember, that's when like we start to grow up and we want to be kind of adult-ish, even though there's no such thing as adult, right? We're growing up with experiences because I see adults acting childish, but that's a whole nother chapter. And that's behavior and boom. Yeah. So, but I was angry. Actually, I was furious. In my teens, I was furious.
Wow.
And it was a righteous, unjust for me. It was. I felt like there was seriously like evil around me where it's like you said we shouldn't do that. They're doing it. I'm not. They're doing what you said, is the standard. I'm following it. And it's just like so many things that weren't fair. Right? And so that brought anger to me. Seriously.
I got you.
It's a natural thing. Now, there's a reason for this. Now, I want to share my whole how I found my journey and how I discovered it, because I feel like it can help people today, because that is what's happening around the world. They are awakening with people poking at them, and they're like, dude, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? People are just flashing their behaviors and others are reacting, and they have every right to, because it's not right. But we got to remember that we used to be there before.
Who has every right to?
Like when someone cuts you off, you have every right to be like, dude, what the heck? But you don't know if that person is like running because they heard an emergency over the phone with their kid, if their wife is pregnant. Like you don't know what's truly going on.
The thing about it is this. I the way I feel about stuff like that is I just don't take it to another level. And that's sometimes, my wife doesn't like my commentary in the vehicle. I'm like, what the heck are you waiting for? This and that. I'm a little, like impatient about stuff. But see, I don't take it past that. I don't let it get to me to the point where I'm like, flipping them off, or I'm like,
searching for them.
Yeah, I'm not going to go after them.
Yeah.
Or I don't sit there and flip no one off, and I've gotten flipped off before.
You just get mad in the moment.
No, I'm just more of a comment, like whatever it is. I don't even look, like I don't even pay attention to them. If we come up to a light or whatever, and someone cut me off or whatever it is, I'll say stuff and then be like, whatever, because sometimes I've had to drive a certain way if we're things are happening, so I don't take it to another level. Is all I'm trying to say. Is I someone cut me off, I cut someone off, whoever happens, it doesn't matter. It's just life. As long as we're both okay. Whatever. He didn't speed up. I didn't speed up. The light was green. It's like people get frustrated for so much stuff, but my frustration stops at my mouth.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't sit there. I don't sit there and take it to another level by, like I said, looking or be like, what the heck, this and that. Has it happened? I can probably count on one hand how many times I've lost a certain way like that. Like, oh my God, for reals or something. Very rare. I just don't do it. It's like, for what? What am I going to look over there for? What am I going to go and be like, what were you thinking? This and that. I feel like it's just, what? It is what it is. I don't.
And that's maturity. That's maturity. See, so like I said, so going through my journey, going back to from my childhood into my teens, okay, I'm seeing this, it's not fair. It's not fair how I've been there following all the directions and following the rules, trying to be the best I can, just being the overachiever I can. And that's where the big deception happens. This is where I say it's such a spiritual battle, because that is where I started becoming almost like, I said, God, I gave God the boot mentally, and I started making my own plans. I said, number one, I don't believe in God. I don't in that moment. And I started to look at Buddhism, Catholicism, all these other religions. I really did.
A lot of isms.
Yeah, because it is. Because it's like there was rules, but people broke them all the time. Well, let me tell you, I didn't know how it was a good thing. See, when I tell you, it's almost like God, he tells us he's everywhere, but then it's not for everyone. He says, only for those who search me. And I did. I was searching for him. And he was almost kind of laughing in a sense, because I'd go to the bar, I would drink a lot. And like we said before, I'd be like, oh God, please don't let me get in trouble. Please don't let me get pulled over. And I was always kind of covered. Should I have done things I did? No, but he was always kind of protecting me because he knew my heart. It was so personal. Maybe not for you. You'd be like, oh, duh. Remember we talked about that? Like, there's those people who do that. And it's like, duh, you shouldn't do it in the moment. But God saw how I was stepped on so hard, but I was still searching.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Realize that if you're getting behind the wheel of a vehicle, you get into an accident or you get pulled over, the possibilities of you hurting someone are pretty high. Yeah. So if the point is that you need to get pulled over before you hurt someone, that's what has to happen. So it's not about God. Oh, dang, he didn't protect me. No, you know what? If they didn't pull you over right around the corner, you could have ran into somebody not even knowing. That could have been a protection right there. But we don't know it.
Yeah.
So we can't always. Again, here's a big rule that I always follow. There's a difference between what you want and what you need, and God gives you what you need, not what you want.
I don't know how many of you guys out there have experienced what I have. When you're doing self-destructive things, yes, you could have definitely hurt someone, but it's almost like you were covered and you knew it, because it's like, look at you now, where you're like, I can't believe I did that. Shame on me. Shake my head. But it's almost like you and it's not to say.
But you don't. The thing is this: we don't know what the plan is.
No, we don't.
All we know is it. How many times did I when I was younger, maybe got caught sneaking outside of my house or something, because that was the day I wasn't supposed to get out because something could have happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. So getting pulled over could be a blessing, even though we're like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So so that's why it doesn't. There's no such thing as God having bad things happen. Bad things happen because we think bad things happen. We needed to get pulled over. We needed to get locked up for the day. We needed to sober up. We needed to get caught.
Yeah.
We needed to whatever. We need to reflect. So
there are those hearts that need it. Yeah.
We need it. Sometimes, you know what? Because we're going to survive no matter what we've gone through, guys. We will survive. And of course, with him in our hearts, even faster and sooner. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
So the answer is, if you're driving going, oh God, please don't let me pull over, or don't let me get into an accident. You know what? Sometimes we need a rude awakening and we get into a little accident. Hopefully we don't hurt no one and nothing happens and it's just our own self. And sometimes we need to get pulled over. And it's not about God not being there. He was there. He's like, you were just too drunk. So you know what? This cop's going to pull you over. We don't know that.
Yeah.
That's all God's discretion.
It's all, it definitely is.
So we
but
can never
he
say
works
that.
in crazy
Exactly.
ways. He works in crazy ways.
Yes.
But so I went through all of that, and it's almost like I was being fed all this information of just, I was being deceived. I was self-destructing big time.
And when you say deceived, because you believed them or because you were following them?
I believed I was nothing. I believed that I couldn't amount to anything. I wasn't smart. I wasn't pretty. I wasn't nothing. And so it's almost like the evil spirit really had me down, and I was still searching. So before Jesus, I was a mess. I was trying to be people I wasn't. I was trying to find myself. I was almost wearing like masks to understand like who did I want to be. It was devastating. I separated myself from my family. Yeah, it was very deep. Now, that was before. Mm-hmm. Now, when I finally read the Bible, I got to be honest that I did not know anything about what I was reading. I read the NIV, and every day at 6:00 I would read it, and I finished the whole Bible, and I only understood like 20% of it. But after that, like, my life changed. Yeah. I heard the Holy Spirit tell me with scripture how much I was worth. Like, all these scriptures would come up to my head, and it'd be like God has you. If he takes care of the birds, will he not take care of you? And love your neighbor, and this and that, like in different situations where I was just like, I'm going crazy. I mean, is this normal,
That's what you needed probably around that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I never experienced that before at all. So my issues were a lot different than that. So it's
I'm telling you, it's so personal.
Depends. Yeah, of course.
It's so personal.
That's why everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different path. It's not always the same. They intertwine sometimes in certain ways. It's difficult. Life is not easy.
And so that was then. And as I started to kind of give up, like, I started just submitting myself to him, because then I read the King James Version, and then the New King James Version, and then the King James Version. Those are a little bit harder, but I understood it. And I started to understand things in such a supernatural way where, I would just start to humble myself. And then I started to understand my gift of community, and I was a big I loved being inclusive, and so people would always kind of join in, and I would make parties happen in a way where it was good. Like everybody was invited, and everyone would feel loved, and it was such a beautiful thing where I started to understand my gifts. I started to value myself. I was groomed in such a different way. I was so angry back then, but once I started to like humble myself and love myself and respect myself, it's almost like my life started changing. And yes, there was a lot of payback on doors that I had opened, because it happens where it's like I hurt them, and now they're coming back at me. It's like, oh, you're good now. And it was hard, and I prayed it, and it was beautiful. Now, it didn't end there. It didn't end. It far from ended there. As I'm learning, just last year, I finally forgave my dad. I forgave my dad. I mean, like, I really forgave my dad. I thought I had forgiven him before, but I really forgave my dad to the point where I was in the shower. I dropped to my knees because I saw in a vision how I didn't value my father. I always had him like this, like, yeah, I can tolerate you. And I would always talk crap in my mind about him, It's like, pfft, whatever.
Now, let me ask you a question, though. So, you forgave your dad. Did you have a talk with him?
After that, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was he, I mean, because I think the hardest part, because sometimes I feel, right? I feel that sometimes you forgive someone and it kind of comes from here, and it kind of comes from here. And sometimes vocalizing to someone, that you forgive them, they might look at you like, sure, okay. They might not know what's going on, but, it's very interesting to know. Did he even understand your forgiveness?
I think he did, because his response was so not the typical way.
Okay.
And I think the whole thing was staged in God's way, where it was so supernatural, because even when he picked up the phone, I'm getting red. I'm getting hot even thinking about it. Even when he picked up the phone, he heard in my voice, I was just like, Daddy. And he goes, yes. And I couldn't talk. I had that lump in my throat a little bit, like, and I was like, Holy Spirit, you have me, my heart. And he goes, I'm listening. And I was like, thank you. Thank you so much for doing everything you could. I know you're not a perfect parent. I'm not a perfect parent. And I thank you for what you gave me, for what you could give me, and I pretty much laid it all on the line. Like, really, like, thank you. Yeah. There was no need for like, what do you have to say?
I got you.
And my dad is bien machista. How do you say that? Like, very
masculine. Well, not masculine.
Macho.
He's macho,
yeah.
Very man's man. Like, he's just very, he's a certain way, when it comes down to respect and understanding and listening, especially listening.
And that's why I asked, like, again, I'm not saying recommend it for everybody to go do that.
No,
because sometimes that
God works in different ways.
Yeah, so sometimes that might not be reciprocated as well. Like, what do you mean you had a problem with me? What you never thought? Oh,
no, there was never a problem. It was always just I was thankful.
No, I got you.
All of what I was thankful, and I'm serious.
No,
like,
I'm saying that forgiving. Sometimes to forgive someone could open a can of worms. They're like, well, what do you mean? It's like,
Well, I said thank you for everything. I can't even tell you the list of everything, because only he heard it.
Got it.
And it was so, the way it flowed out of my mouth, it was so like just supernatural. Like, I really felt it, though, and I was almost like letting it go to the wind and in his ear.
Yeah.
And then after that, I said, I'm sorry. Forgive me for holding anger towards you and hate. And just, I really kept it to like a perfect topper.
Yeah.
To where he responded to me, that he loves me.
Well,
and he said, I'm sorry, in a way where it's almost like he didn't have to say anything more, because it all kind of was just like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he felt it. I felt him felt it.
And you know what? And sometimes, like I mentioned, the person might not even be there for you to say this to them, and it's okay. Sometimes you take that moment and you forgive someone for whatever it is, and just because it really is from here and from here, there's no reciprocation sometimes needed. Sometimes you're able to, if you have a good relationship with this person now, especially because I'm assuming your relationship with your father is a lot better now.
Oh yeah.
And I'm saying before you said
no,
what
but
you
even
said.
it has been like,
No,
but
no.
I would fake the funk because I would criticize him. You know what I mean? I'd be like, I'd say something, and because I knew how he would react, I'd be like, enough. Like I would boo.
Yeah.
Like, and that is no more.
No.
I just listen to him and I just smile and I'm thankful.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm thankful that I am the way I am and he is still here. I still have my daddy.
And that's what I mean. You built up to that though. Like you've had a better relationship before you told him what you said. You actually worked at it. So it's not like she just picked up the phone one day and didn't talk to him and didn't have a good relationship, and you just said that, right?
Yeah, I was trying to work on it. Yes, I see what you're saying.
It's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again, you guys out there, it takes some work. And again, if you're not working with that person or you just don't want to, it's always good to just let it all out and just forgive that person, because it really is for you.
And I hated it too back then, like when I was working on it, because I was always the initiator. I was always calling him. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this guy doesn't even call me for my birthday. Like, oh, his birthday's coming up, I'm gonna make sure not to call him. You know what I mean? I would do things purposefully.
Really?
But then when that day happened, I was just like I don't need anything anymore. I'm good.
You again, the rule is, like we said it before, it's like, you have to give. It's not about receiving. It really is, the real love in this world is what you can give. Yeah. It's not about what you receive. Yeah. So if you choose to receive, then go ahead, but never receive to give. Never receive to give is something I can tell everyone. It's like, I give. Sometimes they ask me, it's like, oh, why this or why that? You know what? I'm blessed, so I don't know. Sometimes a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, and it's been such a blessing too, because I feel like after that, everything else, like even me being a parent, it's almost come full circle where I'm just like I'm at that balance in my life where and nothing ever stays balanced, mm-hmm. right? Everything is, there's gonna be storms, mm-hmm. but it's almost like I've got my behavior a little more under control. I'm not so erratic.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had that conversation with your father and was able to, just get that. Like I said, it's really good to get that off your chest, sometimes off your mind, and just have, God help you sometimes, because it is difficult.
Yeah.
But it is always for you. The forgiveness does come for you. Now, from that point to now, what do you feel the difference is? Where are you at now?
Well, now I feel like Jesus gives me the discernment. Now when behaviors come at me in a crooked way, I get the discernment to almost like either empathize with them or just listen. You don't always have to talk. Sometimes they just want to air out, mm-hmm. and I just can't take that personal. I've got to let it go, because then they'll be like, hey, I popped off. And it's, you got to let go and let God. Really.
No, definitely.
Yeah. I had to discipline and dedicate myself to actually reading. And if you read, he made us to work. He doesn't like to be a free giver. He's like you want me to give you things free? No, you got to search.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say the whole read thing, because if God knows me, He knows I'm not a reader. So so I get a lot of signs from other ways. Right. Right. I mean, yeah, unless I was, I can't even remember the last time I've ever read a book. I think it was like, I might have been in elementary school or something. It's just, I have a lot of trouble reading. And again, I know it's my choice, because if you're not good at something, you got to practice it even more, and I don't.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things where I appreciate God has reached me in ways that I'm like, whether it's a billboard, like, is that billboard talking to me?
Right.
So it's like, God's like, okay, you don't want to read? All right, well, I'm going to put signs for you. So, and I hear Him and I feel
this way.
Him. Yeah,
this way. Don't go.
Why is that? What the heck? What happened to the road? Why is that cone in the way? So,
yeah, no, because like He knows our hearts.
Yeah.
He really knows our hearts. And there was this preacher who was talking about, remember the prodigal son, the story, mm-hmm. where he's like, hey, I want my inheritance. I'm out. There was 2 kids, and he told his dad, I'm out. And the brother left, and he squandered his stuff. But this preacher talks about, no one talks about the kid that stayed behind and was loyal and faithful. And when he finally came back, he was like, hey, that's not right. Wait. I stayed here. What about me? See, I was that kid. I feel like I was that kid where I had more scorn in my heart because of it.
Okay, here's a big one. When you said that, I don't know why. Again, see, God talks to me. I feel like here's a big one when you say that. Is it not when someone's sick, especially a parent, I hear this all the time, it's like there's always one sibling that does more than everybody else.
Yep.
But the crazy part isn't the fact that you're the one doing everything.
Yeah.
And the other siblings want their half or their part or whatever. I feel the crazy part is that the person who's doing everything shouldn't think about what it is, because if you're doing it for the right reasons, then there's nothing to think about.
Yeah.
You know, if you're there and you're able and God gave you a gift to be compassionate and be there, it's unfortunate that our siblings can't be that way. But you know what? God gave us the grace that we have, and we should not turn that into anger by going, because it reminded me of that story. You know, like I said, I've ran into situations like this before where it's like one sibling's doing way more than everybody else. And of course, you know, sometimes the siblings will be like, well, you have a really good job and you can help this and that. So you know what? You do what you can. So you know what? If you can't help financially, you help emotionally. If you can't help emotionally, you can help physically. You know, so it's like there's always ways to do your part. You don't always have to help in other ways. So sometimes I feel that other people feel a certain way about that, and we shouldn't, you know. And if we're able to do that, I thank God that I'm able to do certain things that others are not. And I don't expect nothing in return. I don't expect, you know, I don't see it as unfair. You know, I know what people are saying, you know, oh, it's not right. You know, when unfortunately my brother passed away, you know, a couple years back, I told my mom and his father, it's like, look, as long as you pay for the burial, because, you know, he was your son, like, pay for the cremation, and, you know, then I want to do a celebration of life. And my wife is like,
awesome.
And my wife is like, well, you know, you have other siblings. Why don't you ask them? I said, if they want, they can. I'm not trying to.
It was from your heart.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't trying to raise, you know, and I did do a GoFundMe to help out with that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, of course I need help, but I was not going to ask anyone or feel.
You're being resourceful.
I'm not trying to obligate anyone. Yes, I had other siblings. And yes, where they have other maybe difficulties at the moment. Yeah, I don't know what their financial situation is. And I wasn't expecting them to. I was doing this for my brother because God, thank you, God, I was able to.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's like, I don't think we even had to put a penny because of all the help.
Yeah.
So it's like I was blessed. So, you know, we both were blessed. So we got a big old celebration of life, and it was wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, you know, the word is true. God is the truth, the light, man. He's the way. And to be the craziest part is that if you read the Bible, it has fulfilled every prophecy. Every prophecy has come to life. Everything in there, and it's been written how long ago, right? So it's crazy, and I say that now because even around us, with all this negativity happening around us, we are still so very much loved, and we can still love others and just patiently remind them.
Yeah.
You know, remind them. We used to be there, you know, and just restore them. I know I talk a lot about my dad, especially right now, because he was the biggest hurt.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you have a destroyed family.
Yeah. That forgiveness, though, must have been a big weight off of your.
Yeah.
It must have been a weight.
Because I give so much props to my mom. She was the queen. She handled so much stuff. Mm-hmm. She handled my mouth. She handled my insecurities. She handled my resentments. She handled so much of my emotional mess. She really did. And my sisters, man, I love them. I love them. All my siblings, in one way or another, contributed to the person I am today. They lifted me up in their own ways, with their own love. even when I got married, you know, my eldest sister, she celebrated me so much. She made me feel so special. My other sister, she's always such a giver. She's always like making me feel special, always giving me gifts on my birthdays, and just, you know, she's amazing. And my little sister, she's like the caveat of the whole family, where she has such an amazing gem that kind of takes from all of us. You know,
A
I
smile
see
that
that
brightens
in her.
up the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, just taking that weight off. It's like, man, you know, for my brother, like I said, I did that for him, but it was really, you know, he did so much for me. So, yeah, and you know, it sucks when they're gone and you're not able to tell them, you
Yeah.
know, because I always thought my brother, I was here to help my brother, but my brother was here to help me. So it's like,
And it's almost like you think with age, like it's supposed to be me first and then everyone
yeah,
else, you know, who goes under. And that's not the way
yeah,
it is.
no,
It's not like that. Life just
yeah,
comes at different curves. And
yeah,
that's why we got to forgive. We got to love and we got to lift. And if you're closer to somebody else that you can make that change, like do it.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, life throws so much at us, and we're constantly working and trying to be better. I mean, this is why we're here, guys. You know, we're just trying to share our journeys, what we've done, and just to, you know, to share what we've gone through, because, you know, I think it feels, you know, it's just not just to help you guys, but even to help ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
to be able to let some of this stuff go. That sometimes, you know, we've gotten over stuff, but sometimes we haven't healed. Sometimes we haven't
Yes.
healed, and it's like it shows. Sometimes, like, man, I guess I got to work on this a little bit more, because you start to feel flustered. You start to feel a little thing, and even though you forgave it, which is good, sometimes there's still some healing to do in there that we don't realize it and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? And even doing this healing, you know how we've always said,
There's no growth.
without pain.
Until next
Until
time.
next time, guys.
Ah!